In this step-by-step drawing tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to draw a beautiful whale in anime style using Procreate. You can get all tutorial files for free in the video description before we begin. Now, if you are ready, let's grab our pencils and get started. I've gone ahead and created a canvas that has the dimensions of 2000 by 2500 pixels. If you'd like to use same brush sizes as me, I recommend you to make it same. In the first part of the video, we will draw a whale, add nice shading and highlights on it, and in the second part, I will show you how to create a cool anime background with stylized clouds and water. In the end, we will play around with color overlays to achieve a dreamy look. The color palette is quite rich today, it has all 30 colors, and to make the process easier, I've created a few brushes that you can get for free in the video description. If you enjoy learning Procreate with my free YouTube tutorials, but still want to get even better in digital art, you can visit my Patreon account, where you can find a bunch of drawing video tutorials in different styles and download hundreds of premium quality brushes. It is a subscription-based platform, and once you join, you'll have access to all files. Besides that, there is an opportunity to join with a free 7-day trial period. With that being said, let's start working on the drawing. This time I will skip the sketching part and try to create a clean drawing straight away. So let me go to calligraphy set and grab monoline brush to draw the whale. Then let's select color number 3 from the palette. The size of the brush is set to 10%. Let's start by drawing a big arc like this. Then add a small mouth. And go down. We need to connect these two lines. I will fix it. So it looks smooth, especially on the outer edge. We can now fill the shape just by dragging the color inside it. And after that we can add a flipper, so it will be a killer whale. Let me also fix it. I'll switch to eraser. And then drag the color here too. We got the base shape. Now let's duplicate it. Go down to the layer and recolor it. For that we can use color number 2. And there are two ways. We can just drag the color on the shape, getting this result, or you can lock the layer and then click Fill Layer on it. Now let's go back to the layer with a dark color and add a layer mask to it. You will see black color appearing here. So now it'll work as an eraser. We just need to select a proper brush. Let me go to Anime Whale set and pick a brush called Stickman. It is a modified original Procreate brush. I just removed color dynamics from it. So let me make the size a bit bigger. Want to try 4%, and we can start erasing it at the bottom to reveal the light part that we have below. Let's make it a little bit curvy. Then it'll go this way. As you see, we will get the edge a little bit textured. Now let's finish erasing it. And the advantage of using a layer mask here is you can always switch to white color and restore the area if you erase too much. We can make this part a little bit more narrow. this way. Then I will lower the size and fix it close to the mouth. Alright, this is what we got. Now we can add more flippers, and after that start shading it. So let me now create a new layer on top and select color number 5. That is the darkest of all. We can switch now to technical pen. Let's find it in the inking. It's here. I will also set the size to 11% and start drawing. Let's make it a very interesting and curvy shape. So I will start approximately from here. Then continue this curve. It may intersect with the dark area. If you can't see it very well, you can lower the opacity of the dark layer. Now I think it is better. Let's just connect these lines on the top side. And also try to fill it. You may need to adjust color to a threshold by sliding your pencil to the sides. Let me now adjust the shape. You can make it even wider here and more straight at the bottom. Another way to fix the shape is to use Liquify. Just set it to push mode, and now you can stretch it to any sides or push it like this. Now I think I like it. I will just rotate it slightly, and now it's fine. We can bring back the opacity of this layer. And after that, create a layer under all layers to draw another flipper behind. So I will drag this layer down and select color number 4, which is slightly lighter. We can also use technical pen. I just used it to make this sharp edge, but we can keep using it. Just draw another shape. I'll start from here. And make it look like a rounded triangle. We also need to close the shape before filling it. And now we can try to drag the color inside. This shape can be also adjusted. I will use Liquify. Make it more pointy. We can also rotate it a little bit and move. Alright, now I like this one too. Also we need to finish the tail. Let's also add another layer for it and place it underneath. Here we can start with the outlines. Technical pen will work here. I will just select color number 7 and maybe lower the brush size a little bit to around 9 or 10%. Let's first outline the entire shape. So I will continue this line for the tail. Try to match it. And after that draw another arc on the right. Just like this. Now let's start adding smaller arcs. It'll go down like this. We can now draw the last one. And then finish them inside. Now let's do the same on the bigger part. We can just draw a curve here. That'll also go down. And after that we can divide it into segments by drawing more lines inside. Let's try to match them with this curve on top. Here they will be smaller. Drawing the last one. And now the outlines are ready. Let's color it. For that we need to add a layer under this one. I'm also dragging it down. And as the base color for the tail, let's select color number 6. We can do it this way. Just outline inside the shape first. Draw close to the dark lines. Or actually here we could also use selection. Both ways would work. Let's also close this one first. And drag the color here. The first part is filled. Let's now do the same with the second one. I will also work on the upper edge. Then on the right side. Keep it very close. Then connect it and fill. Now we got it. Actually, on this stage, we can change the background color. To do that, let's tap on the background color first, and after that select color number 1. So we can proceed to shading. But before that, we can also add an eye. Let me create a layer on top of all layers, and to see it, we can first select light color, like number 17. Let's also go to airbrushing section and select medium hard airbrush. Now we can draw an oval shape, somewhere here. Let me just set the size to around 4%. And draw it like this. Just an oval or circle. Now let's duplicate it and recolor the layer at the bottom. We can grab the color from one of the flippers. Let it be the darkest one. So we can just drag the color on it. We will get this result. You can barely see it on the dark color, but now we can do this. Go to the layer on top and erase it at the lower part. As the eraser we can also use medium hard airbrush. Right now we can find it in the recent brushes. We can make the size slightly bigger, like 15%, and start making strokes that'll go up. So we will keep highlight only on top. Let's also lower the size to be more accurate. After we did that, we can go ahead and merge these two layers. The eye is totally ready. And after this step, we can finally proceed to the most interesting part. It is the shading. And I'd like to start with the light part. So let's find it in the layers, add a new one above it, and then clip it. Let's first add the biggest shadow. For that I will set the layer to multiply mode, so it'll also get transparent. And now we just need to select a color. It'll be number 8. As you see, it looks very light, but in combination with multiply mode, we will get a nice result. So we just need to outline it first. Let's continue using medium hard airbrush to get a slightly soft edge. I'm going to increase the size, like to 33%, and start drawing from here first. Let's now add the shadow under the flipper and go all the way down like this, Now we can just paint it all. Let me adjust the shape a little bit. And now we got the shape for the shadow. That looks like this. Now we can add more colors to it. And for that I will add a layer above. Let me also clip it. And to apply it only on this shadow, we need to go to the layer, tap on it, and get it selected from this menu. Make sure there is no color fill option, otherwise it will be just filled. Also, if the selection didn't work properly, you may need to switch to automatic and try to slide your pencil to the sides to adjust selection threshold. Once the selection is ready, we can tap on the brush, and from airbrushing section, select soft brush. From the color palette, I will grab color number 9. The size is around 16%. If you remember, we created a new layer, so let's go on it. And now start applying the color at the lower side. We can paint approximately half of this area and try to keep the soft transition, so it'll look like a gradient. Let me also make a stroke here, and then on this part, to blend it with the belly. There is also a way to use a razor. I will also set it to soft brush and remove it a little bit here, so we keep it at the bottom. But this part on top will be blue. Alright, we got this gradient, so we can remove the selection and add even more colors. So we can add a layer between these two and select a light color number 10. I will just lower the brush size to 10% and apply it at the lower part of the belly. It will be slightly visible, like you can almost see no difference. But after we apply a layer that will be in add mode, it will start to glow. Okay, this is done. As I said, we can now create a layer on top of this one. Also clip it and set it to add. And also from the palette we can select color number 11. Let's try to lower the brush size to around 3 or 4% and start working on the edge again, from the very beginning. I will first apply very low pressure, just go along the edge, and after that we can press more, very close to the border. It will start to shine like this. Let's just continue going down. And here it will get almost white, but with some glow. At the same time, it will pop up from the background. And this is the effect I wanted to achieve. Right after we did that, we can also add an outline on this light part. Let me also add another layer for it. I'm not clipping this one. We just need to grab some grayish color, like number 12. Here we can try to use technical pen. Just lower the size. Let's say to 4%. And I will start right from the mouth. Try to match it. Draw without any gaps. Later we will add light color on the background, so this line will be more visible. Just trust the process. I'll continue going down on this. Alright. Now this part is done. I think we can now work on the flippers. Actually, we can merge all the layers for this part, but keep the dark blue one separately, because we will also need to shade it. Let's go to layer number 5, it's this flipper, and then we can create a layer above. Let's also add a clipping mask to it, so all the colors and textures will stay inside. Now we just need to select a color, and it will be number 6. As for the brush, I will go to Anime Whale set and select the spray paint. Increasing the size, I think around 10 or 11%, and we can start making strokes on top. I'm applying very low pressure, and we will get this very nice texture. Actually, we can make the size a bit smaller. And just do it this way. Let's keep the shadow very close to the body and highlight it only on top. Now let me add one more layer and then also clip it. From the same brush set, let's switch to a brush that is located below. It has the same texture, but it is set to add mode, so it will be glowing. Let's use this orange color number 16. Set the size to around 8% and start applying it at the bottom. With the first stroke, we will just get this orange color. So we can go a little upper. But once we leave the pencil up and continue making strokes, the color will get lighter with every new stroke. Now we can start lowering the size to like 4% and keep making strokes at the bottom until we get this light yellow color or almost white. Let me finish this. I quite like the result. Maybe we can even go to liquify and lift it a little bit up. If you make the size smaller, you can make it a little bit curvy, just like this. Now, after we did this part, we can create another layer, then also clip it and set it to add. So we can put another highlight on top. Let's select color number 2 and textured paint. Let's set the size to a small amount, at around 3%, and start making stroke on top. Go all the way down Also work on this curve. And make it a little bit wider here. Go parallel to the edge. It will combine with this light blue and get some glow as well. Now this flipper is absolutely ready. We can merge all these layers for it and then work on the other flipper that is located on top. Let me also add a layer on top of it. Then we need to clip it and add the first color. It will be number 13. Let's switch to spray paint, that is in normal mode. Increase the size to around 10%. I will make it vertical. And start going from top down. Make this nice transition with texture and put more color on top. Now let's go a little bit lighter with color number 14. Apply it here. I'm lowering the size a bit more and doing it like this. Going slightly down and to the right. It will get slightly textured. Now I will grab a razor, set it to medium harder brush that we can pick from recent, and erase it on this edge. The size is set to 10%. I will also start from this part and its thickness by erasing this edge. Let's also erase the small area on top of the flipper. Only on top of it. And then we can put another highlight. For that we can create a layer on top. I will also clip it. Set it to add mode. So we will get some glow. Here we can select color number 15. Let's now go to inking and select Gisinski ink. It is a very nice textured brush. With the size set to around 5%, let's draw a line that will go with a small angle along the flipper. We can make it curvy like this. I will lower the size and work more on the edges. Just make a few more strokes to make it rather soft. I will use eraser to remove it from the dark part. Adjust the shape a little bit. Alright. Now if we duplicate this layer, go to this one and apply Gaussian blur on it, we will get even more glow around it. The amount of Gaussian blur is set to 3%. It will be enough. Now this flipper is ready too. Let me merge all the layers for it. And finally we can proceed to the biggest part, on the body. For that I will add a layer on top of it and clip it as well. We will apply a few colors here. Let me first select a brush for it. It will be soft edge paint. And the first color will be number 7. Let's increase the size to around 50% and start applying it on top of the head. I think we can make it even bigger, at around 76%, so it'll get softer. Then I will grab a razor and set it to the same brush. Also make the size bigger and remove it from top of the flipper. To keep it dark. Like this. Now I want to add one more layer to have more control over the colors that we apply. We also need to clip this one and go a little bit lighter with color number 6. Let's use the same brush. I will lower the size a little bit and make a stroke a little bit upper, especially on the nose. And keep making the strokes. Also go a little bit down, this way. And after that select color number 14. So we can put it more on the head. I'll make the size a bit smaller here. And continue highlighting. Work mostly on this part. Then I will grab color 19, which is lighter. Lower the size once again. And add the final highlight. Just like this. We can keep it textured. After that, grab a razor and remove it from the flipper again. Just like this. Finally, I will add one more layer, clip it again, and set it to add. So we will add a glowing layer. And for that we can select color number 10. Let's try to use the same brush, but with a small size. I will start highlighting it from the nose. Make multiple strokes like this. Go along the side first. Make it wider at some parts. It can also transition on the flipper, just a little bit on this edge. Let me also make it wider here. Then I will connect them. Use the razor to fix this part if needed, but this time I will set it to medium hard airbrush. To keep the edge like this. Alright, I'm switching back to brush to finish the highlight. Let's try to make it white on the edge, just by applying more strokes. Here I will make a few more. Another smaller line with a tiny size. Tweaking it again to add some texture. that will look light blue. Okay, now it is also ready. What we can do next is add an outline on this flipper, using the same color as we used here. It is light gray. So I will select color number 12. We can definitely merge all these layers for the body. Let me find this flipper. We can actually stay right on the layer, or you can create another one, so you can erase the outlines if needed. Let me select technical pen here. It is at 4%, and I will just outline the lower side. So it will also pop up from the canvas later, when we add more colors on the background. Okay, now this is also done. We can finish the tail. Let's go to the layer under the outlines. Then I will add another one above it and clip. Let's select color number 7. It's the one that we used on the outlines. We just need to select the textured paint, increase the size, and start making strokes at the lower part. First with low pressure, to keep the texture, go slightly upper, then I will lower the size and make more strokes very close to the side. To put a shadow here. And also get opaque color like this. Let me make another subtle stroke. To make a smooth transition. And now the tail is done. Actually, the whale is absolutely ready, except some final details. So we can merge the layers for the tail. And after that I will create a layer on top of all layers. Let's pick some light bluish color, like number 18. I will also go back to technical pen. Let me adjust the brush size. I think around 4 or 5%. Let me remove the size from here to increase it. Okay, I've set it to 5%. So we can add some lines. Let's put a few here. Then bigger ones. Here we can press a bit more. And then also add a few lines on the body. They can start from here. Go with curves. To the flipper. We can actually try to connect them later. So I will use push to move it a little bit upper. So they can be connected. Now I will just draw a few more lines. They can be long like this. And then I will add a few shorter ones. Let's try to apply Gaussian blur at 1%, so they're not so sharp. Now let's go to this flipper, pick smudge tool, and set it to technical pen, so we can just stretch this tip. and make it transition into this line. It's a curve like this. Alright. Now it is also ready. Let me go ahead and merge all the layers for the whale. And we can proceed to the background. Let me create a layer under the whale. So we can draw the water first. Let's make it rather dark, using color number 4. Here I will select medium harder brush and just draw a horizontal line under the whale. To keep the edge slightly soft, we can set the size to around 45%. Start drawing horizontally. Let me try to make a straight line here. For that I will wait a second, and we can even tap on the canvas to make it go straight. Like this. I think I will drag it a little bit down, so we have more space for the clouds. Now it is fine. Let's go to Gaussian blur and blur the edge at around 3%. We can even push it up in the middle. And add smaller curves on the sides. Now I will add one more layer above this one. Of course we need to clip it, so we can put a highlight in the middle with color number 13. It is slightly lighter than the base. Let me select soft brush, increase the size to 13%, and start putting this color on top. Go a little more down in the middle, and then put it on the edge as well. After we did it, we can add some glow as the reflection of the sun. For that we will need a new layer, so I'm creating it, and we can also clip it, just in case. Let's now select color 21 from the palette and switch to Gisinski ink from the recent. With the size set to around 14%, I will start making horizontal strokes, mostly in the middle, changing the pressure while doing this, so the lines will be thinner on the tips. Let me draw another one here. We can also connect these two. Add shorter lines and make it dashed. Here I will put another one. Also make it slightly curvy, but rather thin. Creating various shapes. And it'll also go to the side like this. Let's continue going down by adding more lines. Make them a little bit thicker in the middle. And draw in more like this. Making some of them more curvy. And then I will draw another one at some distance with very low pressure. Let me put a line here on the left side. Another short one. So in the end we will get something like this. I think I will just make a couple more strokes here. Alright, now let's do this. First apply Gaussian blur on it to make it slightly blurry. We can set it to 1 or 2%. And to add some glow to this part, we can use a very cool feature from Procreate. It's called Bloom. And it can be also found in adjustments. So let's select it. And first we need to slide the pencil to the right. I will stop at 30%. And here we will see two colors, orange and light yellow. All we need to do is adjust some of the settings. So we can play around with size option to make it lighter or darker. And also change burn to remove or add more glow. I will keep it like this: bloom at 30%, size 25%, and burn is at 37%. Transition is at maximum. Right after we did that, we can deselect, go to the layer, and try to set it to lighten. It'll get sharper, but still glowing. And once the water is ready, all these layers can be merged. In the next part of the video, we will start working on the sky and add a big variety of different clouds. To balance the composition, let's add some dark ones on top of the canvas. So we need to add a new layer and put it under the water. From the palette, I will select color number 7. And to draw the clouds faster and make them more curvy, let's try to use selection. It is set to freehand, and I also enabled color fill. Let's divide the canvas into two parts vertically and start a little bit on the left. I will just step on top of the canvas and continue going down with smaller curves. Moving down and to the sides. Some of the curves can be bigger. Going more to the left. But keep going down at the same time. Let me add a smaller cloud this way. I'm not intersecting the whale's head, just going around it. Here it can go almost horizontal. Let's also draw at the bottom of it. And move to the side of the canvas. After the last curve, we need to outline it around the canvas and tap here to close the shape. It will be filled. Now we can also draw on the right. Let's keep some distance from this part and also start from top. Go with more curves. It can go up like this, then down again. I'm making it very curvy. Then almost horizontal, just as we did with this one. We need to finish it at the bottom, so it can also go up a little bit. To the right side, almost touching the canvas. Now let's connect it and also tap. We will get these two shapes, and once they are ready, we can go ahead and deselect it. Now let's do this. To remove the sharpness from the edges, we can blur it just a tiny bit. So I selected Gaussian Blur from Adjustments and sliding the pencil to the right. It can be also set to around 1 or 2%. And before we add the highlight, let's add a subtle gradient on it. So we will need to create a new layer above this one and then clip. Let's go a little bit lighter and select color number 20. We can put a gradient using soft brush. I'm selecting it from recent, adjusting the size to around 12%, and with very low pressure, let's start putting it at the lower side. Go a little upper close to the edge. Just like this. We can keep it dark on top. Now let's do the same on the second cloud. Drawing with very low pressure here. Let's make this part a bit lighter, just like this. And right after we did it, we can start working on the highlights. And for that we will need a new layer. Let's create it, and then also clip. Here we can also try to use selection, but first let's change the color. It will be number 21. And we will be using tools similar to what we did on the water. First we need to create the selection, so let's activate it. And start creating more curves close to the edge. I will also start from top of the canvas. Go outside the cloud at some parts. Then create more shapes inside it. Go outside again. Adding more curves to it. Let's skip this part that goes inside and continue from here. Keep highlighting it, just like this. I will skip another part and put more curves here. Let's try to do it this way, with lines like this. And draw very close to the side. Make it vanish in the end. Now let's finish outlining the outer part, this way, just by tapping here. It will be filled. And after that, we need to do the same on the second cloud. Let me also start from here and keep drawing around the edge. Make some lines very close to the side. Also go outside it. These parts can be bigger. Then we can make curves like this. Also go down. Create another highlight for this one. After that go upper and finish the side. Now we also need to close this part. And get this. Now let's remove selection. And first go to blur it. Also set it to 2 or 1%. And right after that, we can use bloom. Slide into the right side until we get the glow. And it'll also get two colors, orange and light yellow. Let's adjust the size and burn amount. Also play around with the bloom more. Until we get this result. Also we can go back to adjustments and play around with hue saturation and brightness. You can make it more orange and a little bit darker. Then increase the saturation. I like this result. So I've set hue to 43%, saturation to 64%, and brightness is at 44%. Right after that we can deselect it. Now when these clouds are ready, let's add even more. I'm merging these layers and creating another one below. Let me grab color 22, go to selection, and outline 2 individual clouds on the sides. I will start from the right, and we can make them less curvy. It will go down this way, then a little up again. It can go straight, and at the bottom it will go as a line with a small angle. We also need to connect it, and now we can draw on the left. Let's make it a little bit bigger, because there is more space. Let me also start from the edge of the canvas and go down with these curves. Also make it a little bit pointy, and then go back. Also closing it. And now we got the shapes. Let's blur them a little bit. So I'm using Gaussian blur again. It can be 1 or 2%. Alright, now before we start shading, let's match them at the bottom. So I will click on the finger and go to select a brush for it. We can try to use soft brush. Just lower the size a little. It can be 1 or 2%. And I will start working on the lower edge, making strokes back and forth. Just like this. So it's not straight. And also soft. I think enough here. Let's work on the second cloud. I will stretch this part a little bit. Make it even softer. Also work on this part. Lowering the size again. And repeating the steps. Alright. I think now this one is also ready. We can start shading them and adding highlights. So let's add the first layer above it. And clip. We can go a little bit lighter with color number 20. If you'd like to make soft transition like a gradient, you can use soft brush, but to make it a little bit textured, we can try to use soft edge paint. Set the size to 72%, maybe lower the opacity a little bit, like to 90%, and start working on the upper side. We can do it by tapping, or just making circular strokes like this. So it will look a little bit highlighted. Let's also do it here, on the second cloud. And right after that, we can add the highlight. We will need a new layer for it. So let's create one. And also clip. Selecting color 21. And here we can either use selection or try to use a brush. For example, technical pen from inking. I will start with this one. The size is at 10%. And we can work along the edge. I think I will increase the size, that's too small. And keep working. Some of the lines can go inside. Just like this. And after that we can continue working along the edge. To create the shape. Let's add a couple more lines. It'll go this way. And now we can do the same here. On the second cloud. We can make a line inside it. And then continue working on the edge. With shorter lines. Let's create another cloud inside it, just by drawing a little bit lower. And then continue outlining. We can make dashed lines. Also go a little bit inside the shape. Another line here. And on the tip. Alright. Now let's make it glow. First of all, we can blur it at 1%. And after that add bloom. I will slide to the right again. Until it'll start glowing. And after that adjust the settings. Make sure you got two colors here, like orange and yellow. I think I will slide a bit more to the right. This way. So in the end we will get this. I've set bloom to 30%, size is at 19%, and burn is at 28%. But of course you can go with your own settings. Now we can adjust hue, saturation and brightness. Let me first make it a little more saturated. And then a little bit darker. It'll get yellow. But to match it with the composition, we can slide a little bit to the left. To make it more orange. Now the hue is set to 44%, saturation is at 68% and brightness is at 40%. When these clouds are ready, we can merge the layers and then create another one below. So we can draw another big cloud on the right. And keep adding layers and creating more and more clouds. But first we need to select a color for it. We can select color 20 here, so it'll be sort of matching with these clouds. And again we can try to use selection here. Let me open it. And start approximately from the half of the canvas, from the right side. We can first create a small cloud shape, like this one. It will have multiple curves. And then I will draw a bigger one. It will go all the way down like this, also behind the whale, and to this cloud on the left. Now let's also draw behind it, and finish outlining around the canvas. Then we just need to tap. And the shape is now ready. Let's deselect it, and start shading, but before that we can also blur the edge. I will set it to 1%. Adding a new layer, clipping it, and first we can lighten the part at the bottom. So let's select color number 19. And here we can try to use soft brush, just to create a gradient. I will select it from airbrushing, set the size to 12%, and start drawing here. Go a little up. And just like this. And after that we can add some texture on top of the cloud. For that we need to change the brush. Let's go to Organic. It is a standard Procreate set. And from there we can select a brush called Rainforest. I sometimes use it to draw clouds. Now with the size set to around 10%, let's start making strokes on top of this cloud. We can now select a darker color from this one and make a few more strokes. It'll get textured like this. Let me also darken it a little bit on this part. And just blending these two colors together. And after that we can start adding the highlight. Of course we need to create another layer for it. And repeat all the steps that we used for the previous cloud. Let's not forget to clip it. And then select color 21. Let's also try to use technical pen. I will grab it from recent. Make the size a little bit bigger. And start drawing the lines on the edge. We can create some bigger curves inside it. Then go down on the side like this, but keep it dark at the bottom. So we can start from here and continue highlighting with more lines. Let's follow the curves here, make some of the lines a little bit wider, and they will go inside. Continue working around the edge here. With another line. And on this part we can keep it dark. There will be more clouds behind. Alright. Now after we did that, let's go and blur it first. I'll set this one to 2% and then apply bloom. Slide into this side like this. Now it is glowing. It is at 29% and actually I think I will just keep it like this. If you like, you can also play around with hue saturation and brightness, but it can stay like this, a little bit more yellowish. Now we can merge these layers and create another one below. Now we can work on the left side. Let's first pick a color, and this time it will be number 23. Let's make this one a little bit more complex. So instead of drawing one big cloud, we can create a few smaller shapes. Using selection. Let me start from the left side. First it'll go up a little, then down again. Let's create a smaller shape here, then put another cloud, go to the right side, finish this one, and return to the left. We can put another small one here, then draw a bigger one, another small shape, and later using the highlight we will create more shapes inside it. For now we just need to make a base. So I'm going more to the right, with more curves. It can go up and down. Let's match it with the tail. like this. Then outline around it and tap so it will be filled. Now let's remove the selection and blur it at 1%. So there is no sharp edges. And before we start adding the highlights, let's introduce a few more colors on this cloud. We can create another layer for it, clip it as well, and open the color palette. Let's start with color number 24, which is more violet than blue. Here we can try to use soft brush, set the size to around 9%, and put it on this edge slightly. Let's also add the color on top of this part, just a little bit, so it'll look softer and blend with the background. But of course we will put another cloud behind. For this one, we can try to apply color number 14, so it'll also look different. Let's put it on top, so it's like two separate clouds. Let's also add some darker shade. For example, we can select it right from here and put it more on the side and at the bottom. Just like this. Now, after we added these colors, let's work on the highlight. For that we will need a new layer with a clipping mask. And as always, let's use color 21. From recent I will grab technical pen, but set it to a low size, so the edges will be sharper. And now we can start drawing around the cloud. We will need to make more multiple strokes. Just go around the edge. Let's do it this way. I think I will increase the size a little bit. And keep going down with more shapes. Let's intersect them. Actually, to see the edge of the cloud better, we can toggle the background. And keep working. Let's try to put a bigger shape somewhere here. So I will first continue this line. Then make a shape like this. I think we can make it even bigger. Then try to fill it. Adjust in color drop threshold. Let me also try to fill this part. Alright. Let's add a line here. Then it'll go a bit more down. Let me make some more curves here. Then on this part. Add in more bigger shapes on this one. Also we can draw inside it like this. Of course here we could use selection too. But in this case I think with a brush it will be more comfortable. Let's now work on top of this part. Create a bigger shape with more curves. It'll go all the way to the right side. Then I will outline it like this and also try to fill to make it faster. Alright, let's keep on working. Keep it dark at the bottom and then start from here. Create some curvy shape on this part. It can also go a little inside, like this. I'm increasing the size just to work faster. So let's create another one here. Adding some lines going this way. I think I will paint it manually here, because it is not so big. Alright, now let's create another shape inside. So it'll be like another cloud. I will draw bigger lines. Then put some other shape. Something like this. I will fill this one. Then put more lines. And now we can just go along this edge with the highlight. For that I will increase the size and start from here. Some of the lines can be longer and go more inside. Moving to the right side. To this cloud. Here we can add thinner lines, like very close to the side. Alright, let me bring back the background. And now we can add glow. First let's blur it a little bit. At around 1 or 2% as always. And then bloom. I will work with the settings. Like this. I've set bloom to 25%, size to 28%, and burn 23%. Now let's also play around with the hue saturation and brightness. So it is a combination of yellow and orange. Now it is fine. I've set hue to 48%, saturation to 60%, and brightness is at 46%. To me these settings worked. Okay, after this cloud, we can add the last one. That will go all the way from the right side to the left. So we fill this space and also the area on the right. And in the end we will add a bigger cloud in the middle, but make it different color. Right now we can merge these layers and then create another one below. From the palette let's select color 25. It is a little bit lighter. We can start right from here, from the side of the canvas. Draw between these clouds. Then work close to the side. After that go down and to the left. It will go under the flipper with some more curves. Now let's just go down behind the whale and start approximately from here. Just finish all the curves. Let's go a little upper. Connect it. And the base shape is done. We can deselect. Let's also blur it slightly. At 1 or 2%. It's totally up to you. There is no big difference. Alright. And now let's first shade it. I'll create one more layer. And clip. Let's apply a few colors. We can start with 24. Let me also first use soft brush. Put it on top of the shape, like this. Now I think I will pick the color from the light part and put it at the bottom. Try to blend these colors together. Go slightly upper. We can try to make this part a little bit more textured. So first I will select color number 14. It also rainforest. Just increase the size to around 12% and start making strokes. Like this. We can also make a few here, especially at the lower side. And then go a little darker. So I will grab the color right from this cloud. And make more strokes. We can switch between the two colors by tapping here. And blend them like this. I think we can create even a darker shade. Right on the edge. But then I will blend them a little, using smudge tool with a soft brush. So we can keep the subtle texture, but it is not so sharp. Making a few strokes like this. Okay. Now right after we did that, let's add the final highlight. I've created another layer, also clipped it, and then we need to select color 21. If you don't see the edge clearly, you can also remove the background color for now. Now that's better. We can switch to technical pen and create a bigger outline on the left. I will start from here. Just draw this way. Go a little bit down, creating some more shapes with smaller curves. Let's go a little bit along the edge. Let me make this one a little bit bigger, I think. Here it can get also wider, with more shapes. Now let's just connect it like this and fill. Let me see if there is a gap somewhere. Alright, need to connect all the lines first. And now I will try to fill it again. This time it worked. I will just fix the tips like this. And then continue working. Let's add a few more shapes. Just like this. So it's like more clouds. I will make this part slightly bigger. Also paint it. I think it is a very creative process. The more time you spend on it, the better it'll get. I will keep adding more lines. They can go in different directions. Like this one. Now let's work on this part. And first outline the edge. Making some lines go inside it. For example, here. Then a few more shapes this way, like dashed lines. Here it can even go up like this. Then we can draw around it. Feel free to make these lines however you want. I will just move more to the left. Then create a few more shapes, and just like this. Making lines going down. And then finishing the edge. Let me have a look at it, together with the background. I think I like this shape. Maybe I will just make some parts a little bit more curvy, just by creating more strokes. Alright, now let's apply Gaussian blur. I will set it to 2%. And after that we need to apply bloom for the glow. Since this shape is bigger, the settings may be a little bit different. Let me try to slide to the sides. Alright, I think this is the right amount. So I've set bloom to 31%, size to 45%, and burn to 19%. Now let's also make it a little bit more orange by changing hue, saturation and brightness. Here I've set hue to 43%, saturation to 68%, and brightness to 45%. And this is what we got in the end. Some of the lines are lighter, and here they're more orange, because these lines are small. Okay, right after we did that, let's add another big cloud behind the whale. So here we can start with color 26. Yellow and blue are complementing colors, so they combine very well together, and overall composition will look very nice. So we can now merge all the layers for this cloud and create another one below. It will be the last big shape. In the end we will also add some smaller details. We need to go to Selection and outline a big shape behind the whale. Let me start from the bottom and go up with various curves. It will go more to the left, so we fill this space between the clouds. Then it will go upper. Let's add some smaller shapes here, like this one. Then outline it behind the whale. Add another small shape, like this one. And I think it will be enough. We just need to connect the shape and tap here to fill it. We will get something like this. Now we can add some more smaller shapes. For example, in this space. Also somewhere here. And to add more we can actually use a pencil. So I will deselect it for now. Let's try to use technical pen. I will increase the size to like 14% and start drawing smaller clouds in the gaps. Let's also draw close to this cloud. A few more shapes here. They can go as dots. Let me also add a few on this side. Then close to the whale. We could actually do it using selection, but I think with the pencil we have more freedom. Let's also draw here. Even add some bigger shapes, like this. I will try to fill this one. And create more. I'll have a look at it. And I think we are done. Let's apply Gaussian blur here. And after that shade it. So I will slide to the right to around 2%. And then create a layer above. We need to clip this one. And after that select color 27 from the palette. Let's also pick a brush. I will go to Anime Whale and select Soft Edge Paint. Now with the size set to around 54%, I will start shading it. Making strokes on this side. Go slightly down. We can tweak the size to create smaller shapes inside. Just draw this way. Also on this part. Maybe even go to smaller clouds. And then switch to color 28. Paint here at the lower part. So we need to make the size even smaller to keep some smaller gaps of light yellow color. So we can add bloom to it to make it glow. Let's also try to smudge this part. I will set the smudger to soft brush and work a little bit on the edges, just lowering the brush size. Let's also try to add some light tones. So I will switch back to color 26. Then go to the color disc and make it even lighter by sliding a little bit to the left. Now the brush is active, so we can add some smaller highlights. Just like this. Alright, I think enough of work here. Let's just go ahead and bloom. Before doing that, we can merge the layers, so it will be applied to the entire shape. Now let's go to Adjustments and select Bloom option from the list. Let's start sliding to the right side until we get this glow. We can also adjust the settings here. This way. So here I've set bloom to 10%, size is at 14%, and burn is at 27%. Now we can also smudge it a little bit more inside to remove the sharpness, but keep the glow. Just like this. Alright. Right after we did that, we can also fill the space above the whale. And to do that, let's create a layer above. We can set it to Add mode. And after that, grab white color from the disk, just by double tapping here. Let's go to airbrushing to select medium hard airbrush. With the size set to around 17%, let's draw a small circle above the whale. It will be the sun. We can do it this way. Make it not very big, and as you can see, the edge is already glowing due to the blending mode. But we can go ahead and duplicate this layer. Then move down in the layers and apply Gaussian blur to make it glow even more. The amount of Gaussian blur can be set to around 10%. Let me deselect it now. Then I will create another layer. It can be between these two layers, doesn't matter. But we need to switch to technical pen. Lower the size to 6% and draw a circular shape around this one. Let's use Liquify to fix it. I just don't want to make it too perfect, so I'm not using Quick Shape tool. It's better to use Push. Alright, this is done. Now we only need to blur it. Set it to around 5%. And later we can adjust the opacity. Right now we can add a gradient on the sky. And after that work according to the result. Let me add a layer under all layers. And select color 29. We can apply it using soft brush. I will find it in recent. Set the size to around 22% and make a stroke behind the shape to make the sky more blue. I am doing it with low pressure to keep it soft. Just like this. Now I will go back to the layer with the circle and lower the opacity to 80%. It will look better. Let's stay on this layer where we added the color, so we can add more. Let me pick color number 30. We can keep using soft brush. And make strokes here at the bottom. Go slightly upper. Let's paint between these clouds to make this area lighter. This way. And after that, we can go here to the last cloud and create a layer above, so we can add some color diversity. Let's first set it to Overlay and pick color 27. I'll start making strokes on the right side of the clouds to introduce this greenish tone. Now we can add another layer and this time set it to Pin Light, but use the same color, and we can apply it on the left. To add some more violet. It will look more interesting. Alright, it is almost ready. We can just add some final details on the big clouds on top. They look a little bit empty. For that we can create a layer above it. Pick this color 21. Then select Technical Pen and add some more smaller shapes on top. I'll increase the size. And just start drawing this way. Some smaller curves, even dots. Maybe also on this one. If you like, you can add some more around the whale. but I think we already added enough. Now we just need to blur it with Gaussian blur. It needs to be not more than 2%. And after that we can apply bloom until it'll start to glow. I will adjust these amounts. So here the settings are bloom 32%, size 22%, and burn is at 38%. Let me deselect it now, and after this final step, our anime whale illustration is complete. I really hope you enjoyed making this beautiful illustration with me. I'll appreciate it if you support my channel by giving this video a thumbs up. And if you share your version on Instagram, please tag me at TatyWorks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.